Good morning, everyone. It's Tuesday, May 12th, and today's video I'm going to answer a lot of your questions that you had about Kony 2012 video yesterday and the children of Uganda, especially Jacob's story. Very impressed on your reflections of that video and your thoughts and your wonderings. So I'm here just to extend that knowledge today. First question, why would anyone do this? And a lot of you asked that question. I wrote down that Colin, I saw his first. It goes along with why would anybody do anything? When you think of a third world country in Uganda, they didn't like what the government was doing. And this was Kony's way of showing power and manipulation and fear. And that's just my inference on it. Because you think in your heart, why would anybody want to hurt children or make them do things? And he had a bigger agenda, and he chose to use children in that respect. Reflecting on the author, we have a question from Alicia. Did the author live in Uganda? And author of the video. And no, him and his friends were just visiting Africa, and they happened to come across Jacob and these children walking at night. And they video recorded what's going on, why are you doing this? And if you can remember, an army official came up to the author saying, you're interfering with us. That was just a Ugandan official trying to keep the kids safe and keep them moving. That wasn't a threat to the author or his group visiting. It was just a small part of the video, but by chance, the author came upon it. Here's one a lot of you had. I wrote down that Julia asked it, and why not arrest Kony? It would seem simple. Here in the US, when you commit a crime or you act out of character that hurts one another, you're often brought to court or arrested. But they don't have, in Africa, they don't have resources like that. They don't have resources or the technology or even maybe the laws. I'm not sure, that's my speculation, on just going and finding him and arresting him and putting him to trial. It just, in some countries, it just does not work that way. And I can look more up on the political system of Uganda if you'd like. Lauren asked, was Kony always bad? Was he always this way, or did the idea just come to him? We don't know. We don't have a biography on Kony or an autobiography. There's no videos of him out there talking about his life. He's a very private, well-hidden man, and other than him leading this Lord's Resistance Army against the Ugandan government, that's all we know. And luckily there were photographs taken at the time, and those got out to the public. Alicia asked, well, why children and not adults? Why didn't Kony bring adults into his army? They would seem stronger, right? I personally think that children are very vulnerable. They can be manipulated. You can drive fear, and they will do whatever you ask, especially if you threaten their life or a family member or a loved one. So he's going to take the weakest link, the weakest part of the population, and manipulate them into doing what he wants. And that's just, again, my speculation on it. Lauren asked, well, did the kids have social interactions? And I like how Lauren's kind of relating it to what's going on with us today, with our COVID and our lockdown and whatnot. I have not come across a video or a story of a child soldier telling their story and what happened to them. And that's on my research list. Maybe there are stories out there of kids who escaped or kids who were freed, but I don't know the life of the child when they were under Kony's rule and what was said to them, what happened to them, what their daily life was like. Ian asked, did the children actually fight in a war. And I think it's our perception on what war is. We read in textbooks or we see on the news two big groups coming together and shooting at each other and fighting. This is a different kind of war that Coney fought. And he took the children and his men, and he didn't just fight a large group. He went from village to village to village and attacked in that respect. And whatever war or fighting or killing the children did in each of those villages, it's not known. It's not in a video, it's not visualized, it's not told in a story, other than the victims. The victims have their stories saying the resistance army came in, this is what happened. And you're going to read a little bit about that today. In a story of a young boy who had to leave every night. How did the author, going back to the author, how did Jason Russell contact the government so quickly, so easily? And that was asked by Ruby. Jason Russell left Africa with a sick feeling in his stomach and a promise to Jacob that he would fix this, he would end this. And I don't think any of us, unless you have a tie to the government, can get in that easily. But what the author Jason did is he made this topic like a celebrity. Celebrities are well known. Now, all of us, we can make differences by writing letters and calling our political figures in our government. We can do that at any time. But to get this moving fast, he took this idea of Coney and he made Coney a celebrity, because celebrities are well known and people want to follow them and people want to know what's going on with them. And as soon as Jason started talking about the idea, going to rallies, putting up posters, people were interested in saying, who is this? What is going on? And when the public gets more knowledge, then you get the political figures going in. Oh, the public is concerned about something, what's going on. And it was just word of mouth and popularity and social media and just a brilliant way to bring this topic into light. And keep in mind, this had been going on for years before Jason and his group accidentally ran into the children in Africa when they were visiting. A lot of you had this question, but I acknowledged Erica. Is Coney alive and is this still happening? I don't know if Coney's still alive, but he has not been pronounced caught or dead. So you can research it. There are articles out there that Coney is still, they call it still at large, still out there. And him and his army actually went into hiding. So with Erica's second part, is this still happening? It has subdued majorly. Uganda is kind of in a good state right now, a good leadership, but people are still in fear of Coney and his army. They haven't made an appearance or have caused destruction in the last few years, but they also haven't been caught. Are the children back in Uganda? And that was asked by Max. And yes, not every child has been saved, but hundreds and hundreds of children have been found or have escaped, or parts of Coney's army were found and arrested, and the children were sent back to where they live or placed in a safe place to live. I don't know if these children ever found their families again, but yes, hundreds and hundreds of children were set free in the parts of the army that were caught. This was asked by Jaden. Is our government trying to help? And I think back in 2012 with Jason Russell's big announcement and his big movement, yes, the government did get involved. Celebrities started getting involved, so the government started getting involved. And they did all they can. And that's why parts of the army, of the Lord's Resistance Army, was caught. That's why parts of it went into hiding. I think it was back in 2017 so for 4 or 5 years, Uganda and the allies, so the surrounding supporting countries, including the US, did go into Uganda and search and fight. And I think it was in 2017 when the US pulled out, when they felt it wasn't a threat anymore to the majority of the country. But we haven't, I don't believe we've been back there fighting the Lord's Resistance Army since. And that's something that I'll have to look up too. This was asked by Ruby. Did Kony know? Man, did Kony know what we were trying to do? In Uganda, and as in most African countries, they don't have technology like we do. They can't turn on an iPad and see current news. So a lot of the communication is told through radio. And in an area where you're getting troops coming in, they radio it. And so I believe, and again my speculation is that Kony could hear through radio surveillance, because he has army members all over the place, that US troops have landed, we need to go here, need to go there. But all communication was through radio, and my assumption is that Kony did, yes, that's why he's not caught, that he got to hide because of radio contact. Alicia asked, has the war stopped? I just read a current article where Uganda is stable. They have a good leader. They're trying to bring the economy and the agriculture and citizens' rights back. But as I mentioned before in the video, people still live in fear of what could happen. And I don't know if that fear will ever go away. If you were ever part of that, part of something horrible like that, I think in the back of your mind, you're always going to have that fear. Zayas asked, what would have happened if this had not stopped? And I just think probably the worst. Would allies and other countries ever get involved? I think it would. I think it would have progressed and gotten worse before it had gotten better. We can only hope that somebody like Jason, the author, came across. If it wasn't Jason, maybe somebody else. And hopefully they would have pushed through and said this needed to stop. And Mickey asked, can we do something? Yes, that is the whole purpose of our unit. I've only introduced a few short world issues to you, just a few, and there are so many that you're going to choose from next week, and you're going to pick an issue, and you're going to write a piece and put images and videos and everything together on what needs to be done and what people need to be aware of and how the change needs to happen now. So yes, there are many things we can do. Today in your activity, you're going to read about a little boy named Jimmy, and it's the book When Elephants Fight. And you're going to do a little comparison to Jimmy and Jacob today. Please know that Jimmy is not Jacob. Jacob is a real person. Jimmy is a real person, and they both experience the same things. So we're going to read Jimmy's story now, part 1 and 2 this week. And then starting next week, you guys are going to start your whole project. And I'm really excited, and I'm glad that you guys have been invested so far. You're doing an awesome job. Keep coming to me with questions, and I'll reply. I hope you enjoy the day.